Accordia, agus a Cóbhún Tóri. Welcome to our remote convention 2020. An unprecedented convention for unprecedented times. Who would have thought, when all the planning had gone in to our convention, which was to be in Wexford, my own branch, that we would have put in the last few months. And with that, the amount of changes in our lives, professional, personal, every dimension of life has changed, and so too with convention. So you may ask why and how and when the decision. So I will just set the context for you of this remote convention 2020. Standing committee, it was standing committee's decision, and in line with the standing committee motion on annual convention, that we now request steering committee to reorder the agenda for annual convention 2020 to prioritise business to protect the structures of the union as far as possible, so that a remote commencement to convention would be facilitated before the 31st of July. And following on that, we had a second motion, and that the standing committee chose a date for the remote commencement of convention, and that the convention be held as near as possible to that date. And that date was set as the 20th of July. And here we are on the 24th. Not bad timing. I had been looking forward, as I said, to meeting you in person, and there is no doubt that whether it is a classroom or a convention centre, that the people in the room, that is what is preferable. But as I said, that is not to be this year. And you have all gone through that experience, that remote teaching that you have had to engage in, and had to engage in with little or no preparation, with huge lack of funding to prepare you for what was ahead for you. That was immense work, really immense work. You know, the pigeons of lack of funding for education has never been more apparent than in the last number of months. We are 35 out of 35 in terms of expenditure on post-primary education in the OECD. And now all of that lack of expenditure over a prolonged period of time is showing. But we, the secondary school teachers of Ireland, have filled the gap yet again. You have done mighty work, and I congratulate you most wholeheartedly. You have upheld the profession in the strongest manner possible. Please take a bow and take a break, because we don't know what's ahead. And from the first interview I did on Sean O'Rourke on the day that the schools closed, I said that I don't do crystal ball gazing, and I don't do crystal ball gazing. But I keep an eye to the future. Because I would say it was probably 20 years ago that I first started speaking about health at annual convention. And you know, people might have actually put me down as a bit of a crank. But here we are. And what have we seen? Our health is our wealth. Personally, for the country, for the profession, for the world, because this is a global pandemic. And what is going to get us out of this global pandemic? Education, research, human resilience. All of these things, of course, come back to our schools. We are waiting for a vaccine, for treatments, to help us to overcome this enormous problem that the world faces. And that comes from funding in scientific education and research. And that starts in secondary schools. That's where it begins. We know about the pastoral care systems of secondary schools. That's what keeps us going. And the teachers have done their utmost, and the management teams within schools, to keep that contact in this era of remote education. And that's a very difficult thing to do. And to support your peers. Also, that is a very important part, and people have tried to do it. But I would like to return to the seminal issue here, and that issue is teachers' health in all its many, many dimensions. I don't know how many years ago now, but I proposed that the ASTI would have a Safety, Health and Welfare Committee. And I took it to be in line with the Safety, Health and Welfare at Work Act 2005. Believe it or not many unions actually have a Safety, Health and Welfare Committee. And we are the only teaching union. And I'm very proud of that, because it meant that when the issues came, when this was foisted on us, that we were fit for purpose. We actually had work done ahead in terms of some aspects of the health of teachers, not all, and certainly we didn't foresee the huge apocalyptic, I suppose might not be too big a word to use, challenge that was put to us. And with that in mind, the Safety, Health and Welfare Committee has been meeting over the last weeks and months, keeping abreast of things and trying as best possible to foresee what will be the needs of the teachers and how they may be addressed. And of course, really that comes back to funding. When, after my term as president, I return to standing committee, I intend to take a motion that the Safety, Health and Welfare Committee put together, and I'll just read you that motion now. In the light of the coronavirus and in regard to the safety, health and welfare of our members and their students, we, the ASTI, demand that the Department of Education and Skills does everything necessary to ensure that the health and safety of our workplace is in line with the NEFIT advice and HSA guidelines. We further demand the provision of adequate financial resourcing and guidelines, training and additional staff. And this has been the work that myself and the General Secretary have been engaged in for the last number of months, and it has accelerated because our single aim is to protect our workers, physically and mentally, because there are huge demands. Going to be honest, we will not be returning as normal to school in September. There will be big changes and big challenges, but I know you will overcome those as you have previously and will do again. But it does mean we need serious investment in securing our places of work and the additional resources in those places that will give us the peace of mind and the encouragement and support that we really do need at this time. Our members' health and safety has been our priority from the beginning.
So I underline that.
And this will remain so as we go forward. Today's convention will deal with the technical aspects of the running of our union. And we have a number of technical motions to deal with those issues. In addition, Moira Lady, our research officer, will give the education report and the survey which we did to see how the remote learning impacted on our workers, so that we could be informed in our decision making as we move forward. And so with that, I will leave over to the General Secretary to give you some of the technical details that you will require to get through. That's my term, get through, because technically I'll tell you my learning has been accelerated enormously, like I've no doubt so many of you. So the General Secretary will bring you through some of the aspects that are required. Thank you.